Yeah, we are going to make a podcast episode.
Okay.
All right. Right? Why not? Dude, if we're going to talk about film, we're making
Oh,
a
yeah.
podcast.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because one of the things about me is that I have always loved film.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had this idea that I should be teaching film. I've talked about this before.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no reason why we can't make it a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, what's the name of your class?
History of American Film.
Okay, so you're taking History of American Film at Oklahoma State University.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your professor?
Daniel Dobbs.
Daniel Dobbs.
Mm-hmm.
Today is your first day.
Yep.
It is August 2026.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, from all the recordings I've done with different podcasts and different shows, you can imagine that, and I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I took film classes, and I worked in Hollywood. I've done all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when I read this, we're jumping right into the podcast, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. When I read this, and when I say this, I'm going to share the materials so that if you are taking History of American Film, is that right?
Yes, correct.
History of American Film. And even if you're not at Oklahoma State University and you're at a different university and you happen to stumble upon this podcast, because here's what I would think. If I was a student and I was in History of American Film, I know that reading the material is actually not easy. What did you think of this material when you read? This is 9 pages on your first day of class. What did you think of this 9 pages?
Let's see. Mainly, I thought it may feel a little bit long. It's not too long.
Was it easy to read?
Well, I honestly I haven't been able to be because I've been so busy.
You're not alone. You're not.
It's mainly more like 7 pages since the last page is like citations, and like the first page is basically like title and stuff.
I believe I can help you understand this material better and help other students understand this material better. Because, dude, I just read all 9 pages. Man, I'm 50 something or 500 in dog years. This is not easy to read. It's not even easy to understand.
Yeah.
Right?
And so
What were you
so
going to say?
pretty much the notes that you got, you pasted this into AI. I'm assuming.
I was wrong. I was thinking I just pasted it into Google. Most of what I'm going to share, I pasted into Google. Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I'm not afraid to use AI to understand things.
Mm-hmm.
We don't use AI to write papers, but I do use AI to understand things and have conversations and learn. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because we're not going to pretend that AI doesn't exist. That would be like filmmakers pretending different cameras didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a film podcast. I'll figure out
Yeah.
what we'll call. All right? But it is. And I'm a great person to talk about this because I have studied a lot of film. I've had a Hitchcock class, Charlie Chaplin class. I've shot Super 8 film. I've edited Super 8 film. Miles of VHS, blah, 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 boring. What's interesting is that in this class, you can see on the page right here, they mention 1906. Do you know how hard it is for you to relate to 1906?
That seems
almost impossible.
I was just gonna say.
I've watched Charlie Chaplin films from 1912, and it seems like a different planet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about Chaplin a little bit because I thought of Chaplin a lot when I was looking at this. In fact, I found myself thinking of Chaplin, Buster Keaton. You know how before we've looked at Buster Keaton. Remember, because this is going to be helpful. Remember how we talked about Buster Keaton, and everybody knows Buster Keaton because he's the guy that had he made a wall fall on him. Right? He hung on the front of a train, and
Oh wow.
where's the picture of him? Oh, this is crazy. Like that's real or
Oh my
something.
goodness.
I don't
That's
exactly
crazy.
know what he's doing there,
Hmm.
but he's well known. Let's Buster Keaton falling wall, falling house, falling building.
Oh
He's
yeah,
the
so
guy
this
that
is him.
stood in the window. Yeah.
And this was real, right?
This is real. And this is in the 20s. This still isn't 1906. Like when we say 1906, dude, that is
So
so long ago.
so
It's
pretty
almost
much so pretty much there was like a risk of death in this actual scene, right?
yes. Buster Keaton could have died, gotten maimed, etc. He's incredible. All right. And while we're talking, and we're not going to go too far into those rabbit holes, but Charlie
Yeah.
Chaplin, let's do The Kid. Oh,
I
actually,
think
The Immigrant. I love The Immigrant. Okay, this is still 1917. Charlie Chaplin, The Immigrant, this is classic. Now, this gets into the cinema of attraction, which I read in the document. Again, the cinema of attraction. And what they're talking about, and it's not easy to digest, which again is the purpose of this podcast. The purpose of this podcast will be to help students gain better understanding of this material, which I consider to be a little highbrow.
Mhm.
There's a lot of words in here that I don't know if they need to be in here. And I'm not talking about terms. Terms are always interesting and helpful. But like futurist, Dadaist, surrealist, for a beginner, they have no idea what these guys talking about. But these are different forms of expressionism that were developed. Yeah, in the like, for example, we've all heard of Metropolis. Metropolis. You heard of this movie? 1927, German Expressionism.
Hmm.
And many people have heard of what's happening in Metropolis, and Charlie Chaplin did it in The Great Dictator, is that the people are the gears of the building, that the people are the gears. It's
Mhm.
expressionism. Anyways, in this cinema of attraction, here's an important understanding point, is vaudeville is mentioned. Do you know what vaudeville is? Right. How would you know? There are no teenagers today that know what vaudeville is. Vaudeville was popular, as it said there before I clicked, and I couldn't, 1880s to 1930s. So this is before film. And what vaudeville is like weird, goofy stage antics. Because remember, in the late 1800s, man, people, right? Culture was totally different. Everything was
Oh
theater.
yes. Mhm.
Everything was theater and performance and showgirls and
Mhm.
opera and skits and slapstick. And when they first when film entered when film first merged with vaudeville, they were basically just recording what was on stage, which brings us back to the cinema of attraction, the act of just recording what was being performed.
Mhm.
That is what he's trying to say. I
Hmm.
believe the cinema
Interesting.
of attraction is basically just shooting what people are doing.
Hmm.
Now, it wasn't till later that then the filmmaker began to realize, wait, we can write a new story and shoot it. And that's where Melies, as I texted you, Melies comes in. I think it's Melies. It was okay. Where's the text I sent you of? Yeah, that first text I sent you, Lumière. Now these are French names,
Is it
right?
this?
Lumière, just put it on my, yes. Lumière versus Melies. And I could have the pronunciations wrong, I'm not French. But Lumière, and they talked about actuality filming, by the way. Actuality filming, which I thought was a weird way to say it, but I don't know, maybe they said that. Where's the word actuality?
By the way,
yeah.
So when I was looking at the slides today in class,
Actuality.
as you read, consider how gunning, and then there's a few questions. Do you want me to send it to you in chat?
Yeah, please. Actually, will you email me?
Yeah, I'll email you it.
I'd love to see the questions. Please email me, and I'll bring them up on the screen. But you were saying you want to consider what?
Yeah, well, on the slide it said, as you read, consider how gunning did these things.
Okay.
I sent it to you in that gunning email.
Now, send me. Oh, perfect. Excellent. All right, I'm going to share those on my. This is great. As you read, consider how gunning defines and periodizes the cinema of attraction, which very good, because what I did is I searched the cinema of attractions as the period from 1907 to 1913, representing the true narrativization of the cinema, culminating in the appearance of feature films which radically revised the variety format. So I think what they said was the cinema of attractions of just recording what's visual was prior to 1906. Here it is. The cinema of attractions.
Oh, I see.
Early cinema. Here it is. Yep. 1895 to just prioritized showing a visual spectacle. It could be a technological marvel, a magic trick. It could be a vaudeville performance, but it has nothing to do with screenwriting. It's just recording what's in front of you. Which makes sense too, because this also gets into Nickelodeons. We've heard of Nickelodeons where you put in your nickel and you just watch like a really short film of a train or a guy on a horse.
Yeah, that's right.
This is the cinema of attractions.
I see.
This has nothing to do with screenwriting or any of that. Which is interesting. I've never thought of it that way. And Tom Gunning's right. That's a good way to look at the first period, right? The dawn of filmmaking is the cinema of attractions, just shooting what's in front of you. It wasn't until later that somebody said, wait a second, we can write a story.
I see now. That makes sense.
Right, exactly. That's what, and here we go. Lumière says, let's shoot what we have. Then Melies says, let's make a story.
I get it now. So Lumière was first, and then Melies was after.
This is a good question.
It seemed like.
I don't know, but maybe so.
I see.
And this is where what's cool is this is the beginning. We're going to move through time and other types of film theory, expressionism, film philosophy, types of directors, I'm assuming. It would only make sense. So this is the beginning. This is the Big Bang, the inception of filmmaking. Even this guy's mentioned, Fernand Laguerre. He's on page 1. On freeing the medium from traditional theater, literature, and story. The mistake in painting is the subject. The mistake in cinema is the screenplay. So already, yeah. Now, I think this guy's from the 20s, Fernand Laguerre. And in fact, here's why I said it. Yeah, writing in 1922, excited by seeing whatever that is, Fernand Laguerre tried to define something of the radical possibilities of cinema. And it's interesting, it was already by the 20s, which is not long after 1906, you had new film theater theories developing. For example, like here we go, this German expressionism This is 1927.
Mhm.
I mean, it didn't take, and this is what artists do. Artists get complicated quickly because they're artists. Charlie Chaplin in 1917, The Immigrant is a story. He's not recording people on a boat. It's a screenplay. Now, it's not an actual screenplay. It's more of just a list of ideas, and he would shoot it. I don't think there were any written lines. I don't know, man. In fact, that's actually good. How much did Charlie Chaplin write before he shot? I don't know that. I maybe at one time did. I don't know. But he did know that The Immigrant is a story of him as an immigrant. But beyond that, Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to, so now we kind of have a premise of what we're talking about, which is we're defining the cinema of attraction. We have 1895 to 1906 is the dawn of shooting spectacle. 1906 to 1917 is Melies versus Lumière, either shooting what you're looking at or writing a story. And then this is interesting. By page 3 of this material, there's this concept of exhibitionism. Now, exhibitionism is one of those topics that can make people feel, embarrassed or whatever. But what's interesting is, even in 1902, somebody realized, hey, let's shoot nudity.
Is that what exhibitionistic tendency means?
Exhibitionism is getting naked on camera or for an audience. Now, it's not just getting naked. It's a reveal, and normally for human beings, it's nudity. A woman undressing on a bed while her husband watches from behind a screen. However, she's presenting to the camera and the audience. I mean, that's early pornography. And the story is the husband's watching her while she strips for us, the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that's not an early porn, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's 1902. That is really interesting. And the fact that her husband is watching implies a bit of a storyline.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
And so again, and this is where if the test question was, a woman undresses on a bed and her husband watches, is that Lumière or is that Melies?
Repeat that one more time.
If a woman is undressing for camera while her husband watches, and she's undressing for the camera, playing to camera, is that Lumière or Melies?
That's a tough question. I mean, I guess Melies.
It is, because her husband is watching her, but she's performing for us. That implies an idea of and there's a story here somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
He's purposefully watching her while she's performing for us. That would be, and there it is. As the quote Melies points out, the trick film, perhaps the dominant non-actuality, right? Because it's not reality, because it's kind of a trick. It's a sketch. All right, so this is where they start talking about ideas of how to use reality versus scripted or narrative. See, it's not scripted yet. I don't think there's screenplays yet, but it is narrative suggesting a story.
I see.
And they talk about vaudeville, and this is interesting too, talking about Coney Island, and again with the train coming to, I guess the train's coming to camera, but the theater itself is designed as a train, and there are actually train noises. So it's almost like it really is it's kind of like a ride. They're mixing film with amusement park. strange
Yeah,
that
it
they
is.
also used film early on to demonstrate new technologies.
Mm-hmm.
So early cinema was nothing like even cinema 20 years later,
Mm-hmm.
because it was really the cinema of attractions. And again, cinema of attractions. Now, this is interesting to note. Now we're on page 4, is they start to talk about types of shots. You know, we take types of shots for granted.
Yeah,
You
we do.
can't find a movie where there isn't a bunch of different types of shots. Even the YouTubers that Hollywood love now in 2026 are shooting different types of shots. When you watch Aqualung with Markiplier, I guarantee there's close-up, wide shot, tracking shot,
There probably is. I
panning,
haven't seen it, but I
right?
believe it.
There has to be. Because if you make a movie today without all those different shots, I don't think the audience likes you.
Yeah,
But let's
exactly.
go back. These guys, Buster Keaton, it's all wide shot. Now, I'm not totally correct, because I think they started to use different types of shots even in the 20s. But in the era that we're talking about, it's all wide shot. Set up the camera. I don't even right. They didn't have lenses. You literally had a
I wouldn't
box
think
with a
so.
hole in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you set it up. You're lucky if you have a tripod. They probably learned they need a tripod. Put the box with a hole in it on a tripod, and man, they're worried if they're getting lighting, right? They're cranking, they're trying
Yeah.
to get the light for the film that's being exposed. It's all wide shot.
It's kind of impressive they were actually able to film stuff back then.
It's actually it is impressive, because film required a lot of light, which gets into why so many shots were exterior. Did Buster Keaton even shoot much indoor? Probably not. Charlie Chaplin, he used exterior sets as much as possible. They
Mm-hmm.
needed a lot of light. Again, we take that for granted today.
Yeah.
So, this idea of a close-up shot, these shots came into here again, pure exhibitionism. As the lady lifts her skirt, well, they wanted to move the camera in so you could see her
Yeah.
leg, her skirt, her ankle, and probably somebody goes, "Oh my God, we got a close-up shot here."
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
again, because they moved the camera in.
Mm-hmm.
But shots were static. They didn't move the camera while it was rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how focus works. Who knows how focus works, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting to point out shots, because somewhere along the way, right, somebody said, "Man, let's do it. Let's do close up, wide shot."
Exactly.
And then somebody eventually said, "Whoa, can we get this thing in the air? Can we do an aerial shot?" And I think that's where someone said. So again, I think that the purpose of this writing is basically to get us all thinking about the beginning of cinema. Here on page, what is this? Page 7 of our material.
Let me check.
They're talking about, again, fairground attractions, roller coaster.
So
It is
technically, this would
all
be page 5
okay.
of,
It's
of
still
7.
5 of 7. Thank you. And we're still just talking about it. We're still talking about theater and vaudeville and
Yeah.
attractions and just recording what's in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously there was, and it's cool to think we already got French cinema. I'm assuming there's some German cinema at this time, American cinema, and the name D.W. Griffith comes up. Now, you know about Griffith Park in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, right? Have you heard of Griffith Park? Griffith Observatory?
Oh, I have.
Okay.
Oh,
So
wait. Yeah. Hold on. Let me check. Yes.
okay. D.W. Griffith Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, and anyways, this is early Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to keep learning names, but this is from the true narrativization of cinema. This is when we start to get into storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
In the second period of cinema, the first one would have been just recording what's in front of us.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And really, and I think it's probably going to get more interesting as we move from the 1910s to the 1920s. I think probably a lot happened, actually.
Yeah.
This is also interesting. There was already plagiarism of ideas. Okay, a film in 1904 called Personal shows the creation of a narrative story of a French nobleman running for his life from the fiancées of his personal column ad. So you've got a French nobleman running and being chased. And they also talk about the chase being part of the original truly narrative genre, which makes me think of Keystone Cops. Are you familiar with that? You ever heard of that?
I don't think I have.
Keystone Cops is known as some of the earliest popular film.
Maybe I think I have seen something like this before.
Keystone Cops, 1912 to 1917. This is like early, makes me think of the Three Stooges. But
Oh
it was
yeah, I know
right.
exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was very primitive. I mean, I'm sure there was no sound, which is talkies, which is, I think, the 30s. And so you're probably just having a pianist in the theater, and the guys are running around, and
Yeah.
it's not even 30 frames per second.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the chase scene had been copied from this French, I guess a French film, I don't know, by the Edison Company, right? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
They already copied. They copied the idea. This is in the early, So anybody complaining about films being copied, well, this has been going on for 100+ years. Here's the pie in the chase. They even talked about Ben-Hur. And again, what they were talking about here is that as the narrative developed, it became kind of a cornerstone of attracting audiences. That you could then tell audiences, hey, in the beginning of the film, there's this, and then there's this storyline, and then there's this, and which I think is really where we're headed with all this. And look, this is interesting. The Great Train Robbery, that's 1903. Wow. Spectator, linear continuity. Oh, wow. And then they already, jump ahead to Spielberg, Lucas, Coppola, and all that stuff. I was just finishing when we started to talk, but essentially, I think in a nutshell, I'll stop talking now. What do you think of what I just said?
With like this whole stuff.
Do you want to summarize what you think I just said? Like in summary,
Yeah.
what
Sure.
was I talking about?
So let's see. You were talking about the difference between. Let me see the names again.
Yeah,
I could
that's
put it
that's good.
up.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Lumière, Melies, or Melies.
S
So
is silent
Lumière,
in French, so it should be Malay or Malay.
I see. Lumière basically was getting all the action, while was Malay was getting kind of crafting a story.
Good. So the difference is, so if I said reality television of early cinema, which director or which filmmaker am I
Lumière.
talking about? Lumiere. Reality television of early cinema, Lumiere. And if I said, yeah, um, fiction of early cinema, which filmmaker would be?
That would be Melies.
Right, because fiction is non-reality.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, okay, right. And I'll tell you what, fiction versus nonfiction, I think we take for granted that everybody knows these terms.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't use the word nonfiction in my daily life, right? I don't. I have to
Mm-hmm.
think about it. Nonfiction is true.
Mm-hmm.
Fiction is false. Pulp Fiction didn't really happen.
Yeah.
In fact, it's funny that Tarantino chose to use the word fiction in his film. I'm not going to speculate on why. I have no insight into it other than
Mm-hmm.
he is a grand thinker of film, cinema, etc.
Mm-hmm.
When you listen to Tarantino talk about something, that guy knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's not easy to follow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So, what else did we learn? Let's do this. Let's go to
Hey, can you send me your notes?
yeah, exactly. That's funny you say that because I was just going to pull that up. So, okay, let's talk about what gunning, and I'll do that here. Let's finish with gunning, and then I'll send you the notes.
Okay.
And if anybody wants these notes, put it in the comments. Defines and periodizes the cinema of attractions. We learned there are two phases. One is 1895 to 1905, which would be, I think, actuality, just shooting what we see.
Yeah.
And then 1906 to 1917 would be narrativization. Narrativization, which is, I believe, well, I think he's calling that the cinema of attractions. I'm not actually, this is where I'm not 100% clear because it seems like there's two phases.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe that's the point.
Maybe. So Tom Gunning now Tom, your teacher isn't Tom Gunning. Your
No.
book was written by Tom Gunning.
Yes.
Okay. Clarifies the misconceived relationship between narrative filmmaking and early cinema. That it does. Because phase one is actuality, shooting what's in front of us, whereas phase two is narrative filmmaking. However, there's still, what's important here, there's overlap. They didn't just switch to narrative filmmaking. There's still plenty of people shooting what's in front of them.
Yeah.
But narrative filmmaking is beginning to develop. Elaborates on the spectator's role in early cinema. In phase one, the spectator is the camera. In phase two, the spectator becomes part of the narrative.
I see.
Which, let's look again, let's go to Pulp Fiction. The spectator in Pulp Fiction is part of the movie. We're not just watching Butch fight Villalobos, the taxi driver, is a spectator and she's in the story. Maria Villalobos. Okay.
Any chance you could write those two for the others?
Let's see. So early cinema. So okay, so I'm gonna say narrative filmmaking is 2. Early cinema is 1. Does that help?
Yeah.
In 1, it's the camera, and in 2, part of the story. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I'm gonna do 1 and 2. Explains the significance of the actuality film and the trick film. Actuality would be 1.
So, oh yeah, right. Actuality.
2, trick film is more narrative, such as, okay, let's do Buster Keaton and a house is falling on him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a trick. The
But
film isn't
it has a
called,
narrative.
yeah, exactly. The film isn't called House Falls on Buster.
Mm-hmm.
It's called something like, let's go to Keystone Cops. In Keystone Cops, the cops are chasing somebody. Now, they're not chasing somebody in actuality. They're
Yeah.
chasing somebody as part of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
And the chase itself is a trick.
I see.
A trick. A story.
Is that what it's kind of a phrase, sort of a chase? Not just actual Keystone Cops, but in other
Well,
movies too.
trick is a term of art used in the reading material.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't have chose trick, but again, I feel like what I'm wondering is when Tom wrote this and what age he is, he chose to use trick. Whereas you might instead choose like device or method. It's
I'm
not
actually curious.
necessarily a magic trick, although a magic trick is a trick. However, a magic trick, if you're recording a magician doing his show, to me that's an actuality film because he's
Mm-hmm.
just doing something and you're recording it.
I
Now,
see.
if he's doing his magic trick and then a woman pops out of a cake and then a man comes in and stabs her and then, now it's a story.
Yeah.
In
I
fact,
I
whenever
see.
you say and then, and then, you're telling a story.
Yeah.
I
That makes
actually
sense.
I heard a screenwriting teacher say that.
Hmm.
And it's very interesting because it's absolutely true. If you say and then, you're telling a story.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a story.
interesting.
I know it is. In fact, screenwriting teachers are awesome. I've watched many screenwriting teachers on YouTube videos. They're awesome. Man, they're awesome. Have I ever sat? Well, I've sat in class and I've heard them talk to. Okay. Recalls. Okay. Describe how showmen exhibitors controlled the films they showed. I don't know this exactly. But I do believe, I think that this is where he's headed. Showman exhibitors had to collect money for you to watch the film. Okay.
I see on page 3 in
Okay,
the
good.
middle.
All right, let's take a look at it.
So technically
Showman.
page 4 on this PDF.
All right, showman. Is it showman? Oh, early showman.
Yeah, exactly. This
There it is. Exerted a great deal of control. They had to. Because if you're not controlling the film and the money, then you're not running a business. And that's actually why Nickelodeons were Nickelodeons. You had to pay money to see it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not paying, you're not watching.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's free, well, you certainly, if it's free, then you're probably only watching an actuality film. Because if they're
Probably
taking the
so, yeah.
time and effort to make a story, they're going to charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually how the early distributors became producers. I'm just going to say this. In filmmaking, you always have the three. You have production, you have distribution, and you have exhibition. In the
I
early
never heard of
days,
that.
oh, you hadn't? Okay. In the early days of filmmaking, it started with exhibition. It kind of went backwards. There were not many films. So these guys that own Nickelodeons and screens would try to get their hands on as many films as they could. They were exhibiting films. At some point, one of them, two of them, Warner Brothers and some of the Lemley said, wait a second. We need more films. Let's make them. And they became producers which is the first stage, production. And now, once they became producers and exhibitors, then they went, wait a second. We're making the movies. We're showing the movies. Let's make more theaters and charge other people to show the movies we own. Producer, distributor, exhibitor. It wasn't until later in the 60s that the government said, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't own all of them. Although monopolies first reared their head in the Gilded Age in the 20s and 30s. But anyways.
Yeah.
So, recalls how early cinema was advertised. And I think the answer here was, when they were talking about Ben-Hur, that they advertised around the story moments. Let's go ahead and type advertise and see if that pops up right. Advertise. Let's just do with an S. Okay, would advertise along with the scenes of full nudity. Again, early porn was the easiest way to go. Advertised on a variety of bills in which they premiered. Oh, that was exhibiting new technologies. And then Hollywood advertising of enumerating the features of a film, such as, come see Annie Oakley shoot her gun in, right?
Yeah.
Which is, that's the power of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
We still do it. Come see Ryan Gosling as Ken in Barbie. Well, I don't know if it says it that way. But Spielberg, come see the extraterrestrial in E.T. So we're still pushing the attraction. Which is interesting, is why I think early film roots, well, are in amusement, rides, carnival, vaudeville. I mean, there is a clear. And by the way, I think the film camera was developed because they were trying to verify if the horse hooves all touch the ground at the same time. I think that's I think that really did happen. Is that let's Google that. Let's do early film camera horse running. Yeah, there we go. In 1878, a photographer captured a running horse using a battery of 12 cameras lined up, which is interesting because that sounds like the Matrix bullet time, how they, right? That's how you get the backwards guy, by having a line of cameras. Not still photography camera. Well, I don't know. It's confusing. I'm not a professional cameraman. Yeah. But the horse in motion, yeah, was 18. That's 1878. That's crazy.
That is.
Which I think started as a bar bet. So I guess you had at least one genius having too much to drink in a bar. All right. I did find this Lumière versus Melies, a cinematic dichotomy. It is interesting. And by the way, I think 30 years ago, I probably heard of one or both of these guys, and I didn't get it because it's not easy to. It's not easy to. We have no way of. We have no frame of reference. There's no opening shot for this information. Even this word, diegesis, the total fictional world of a story, I've never even heard that word. I don't know that word. I don't think. So there's just a lot to wrapping your head around early filmmaking.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere. So I guess they decided we'll start at the beginning. All right. I'm going to send you this. You got any questions?
I don't think so right now. I'll probably read the full thing tomorrow. That way I can kind of understand it a little bit more. And it's a lot, and it's like I'm
And
gonna
it's
have to
only
get
9
used to learning
pages.
this.
It's 9
Yeah,
pages, and it's really hard to read.
yeah,
I had trouble. I had to keep focusing. Like
yeah,
I did a couple paragraphs at a time, and I started thinking about other stuff, and then it's
yeah,
hard. This is hard. It's only 9 pages. It's very hard to read.
yeah.
And that's actually what gave me the idea to you and I have worked together on countless things, and I thought, since this is this if there's anything I'm interested, it is the film industry. We're gonna make a podcast out of this. All right.
Makes sense.
Well, hopefully, if anybody made it to the end of this, please put in the comments made it to the end. Otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and hit stop, and then you and I can wrap this up. All right,
Sure
cool.
thing.
This was video 1.